And the linesmen will be the old standbys, Rick Zerbe and Gary Madsen. The Jacks have lost their first 17 games. That's an all-time American League record. It equals the all-time NHL record established back in the 74-75 campaign by the nearby Washington Capitals. Adirondack's third and final game of a three-game road trip in as many days. They've divided the first two, winning the first one 4-3 in Springfield Friday night, dropping last night's affair at Hershey 3-2. Darren Elliott in goal to our left for Adirondack. Murray Bannerman in goal to our right for the Jacks. These two were adversaries for their NHL days with Los Angeles and Chicago, respectively. From the faceoff, Steve Chase out along the left wing boards inside his own line in the Adirondack defense. At center for Murkowski, past Tevitt over the Baltimore line. Murkowski into the left circle, shooting, and that was wide. The rebound all the way to the right point for Huda. Huda sailed it into the corner glove, down by Tevitt, up the boards at his own line for Turcotte. At center for Toomey. Sean Toomey zooms in over the red wing line, thumped in the circle by Huda. Doug Huda deep in his own right wing corner. Up the boards at his own line for Harper, checked by Hoover, pinching in, skids into the Baltimore zone. Bannerman comes out the left circle, cross ice to the right side for Tevitt, who turns it over in the circle to Murkowski, who fired right on. And Bannerman nabs that one on the short side after Greg Tevitt turned it over along the left side to the ever-present, ubiquitous Glenn Murkowski. The face-off will occur circle right of Bannerman and the Jacks goal. We will be reporting to you throughout the day regarding the Skipjacks' new acquisition, who will not be in uniform today, and the two new acquisitions that are expected the first of the week, all three being assigned by the Montreal Canadiens. All ready to go. Gary Sampson for the Jacks and Murray Eves for Adirondack on the faceoff. Eves, the league's 8th leading scorer with 23 points, 11 goals and 12 assists. He had a goal and 3 assists here back on October 22nd when the Red Wings extinguished the Jacks, dry docking them 6-4. All ready to go. Sampson won that, going down on one knee to secure it behind the goal for Armstrong. Around the left boards for Britt Peer, clearing to the line. DeGaetano right in front for King with a shot. What a save by Bannerman on the King deflection. Rebound to the right board. Sampson clears it over the line to center zone. Dennis Smith on left wing rockets the puck over the glass into the crowd. He was aiming for the Baltimore left wing corner, cross ice in a diagonal fashion, and that puck just took off and rocketed into the crowd. We're 4 seconds shy of the first minute of first period action, and the game is scoreless, and the faceoff will be center zone across the way from us on the Jacks' right wing. Gary Sampson with a goal and 4 assists, 5 points in his first 9 games, opposing Murray Eves, and he probably will be employing his shadowing techniques and tactics against the ever-dangerous Eves all day today. From the faceoff, Britt Peer scampers after it into the Adirondack zone, into the left corner for Sampson. Now Gary Sampson along the boards for Peer. He couldn't reach it. Murray Eves was there. Eves breaks out to center zone. He fired it wide, but Chris King was offside of the left wing for the road-weary Red Wings. No further play. With the score of the Jacks nothing, Adirondack nothing. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network. Face-off will be center zone. Controlled at the Adirondack line by DeGaetano. DeGaetano up on left wing at center for Dennis Smith. He sends it skipping in front of the Jacks goal to Fazio to control and send to center zone. DeGaetano on right wing, wrapped it right back behind the Baltimore goal where it scraped off the backboards by DeFazio. This clearing pass seized in the corner by Eves, who anticipated. Eves into the corner, was crunched by DeFazio, recovering, but Eves takes it back. Eves back to the right point for DeGaetano with a shot that sailed over the head of Sampson in front over top of the goal. The puck to the left wing boards for Brent Fedek. Fedek's out of the goal for King, centering one in front. And Britt Peer was there to fire it down ice to alleviate the pressure. Dennis Smith to reach it behind the Adirondack goal. And the Jacks are charged for icing at the 1:55 mark. First period, the game is scoreless, and the faceoff will proceed circle right of Murray Bannerman in the Skipjacks goal. The Jacks have lost all 5 of their previous home starts. The Jacks are in the midst of playing 11 of their next 13 and 15 of their next 19 games at home, and that spans to January 1st. From the faceoff, puck along the Baltimore right boards. Murkowski steps in front of Lemieux to control it to the left point for Jim Smith. Stolen by Lemieux. Lemieux at center is pulled down by a recovering Jim Smith who was victimized, and he'll be chased at 2:07. Jim Smith, the second-year pro who signed a 4-year contract with Detroit last year from Denver University. And he's tagged for hooking at 2:07. Lemieux picked his pocket. He fleeced it off his stick at the left point of the skipjack blue line, and he was breaking away on right wing at center. And Smith, to prevent the Lemieux breakaway flight, just jerked down the count. The Jacks' power play has been prospering. It is 5 for 7 in Baltimore's last 2 games. The Jacks with 3 power play goals here on Friday night and 2 Tuesday night, and another 1-goal defeat, this one 7-6 at Newmarket. So the Jacks' power play is flourishing. From the faceoff, the puck snakes into the Adirondack left corner. Doug Huda rockets it around the boards past Turcotte, who Krentz was checking all the way down ice. Behind the goal, Shedden. Give it a rough ride in the corner by Murkowski. The 2 former teammates in Detroit jostle finally, dragging it loose is Toomey. Sean Toomey in the middle at center for Lemieux. Lemieux hits the Adirondack line with a centering pass. Blocked in front by Chason, who snaps it down ice for the Red Wings. Alfie Turcotte will glide effortlessly behind the goal, leaving for Lemieux, who circles the net. Now the count. Across sharply on left wing at center for Shedden, who hits the Adirondack line, bowling over Huda as he drove it in behind the goal. Chason around the left wing boards, controls for Dale Krantz, and Krantz sweeps it down ice. 1:09 for the power play. Adirondack has only allowed 16 power play goals against in 94 opportunities for the opponents. The Jacks turn it over again. Dennis Smith deep in his own left corner on the Red Wing defense, behind the goal for Peter Dineen. Now Dineen, the coach's son, in the right corner. His pass along the boards for Rick Sealing, and Sealing fires it down ice beyond the reach of the attempted steal by Toomey. Covering in front of the goal is Lemieux, 44 seconds for the power play. Now Alain Lemieux in the middle at center for Turcotte. Alfie Turcotte dances in over the Adirondack line, swerving through the right circle where he's overpowered by Smith, but it's dug out along the boards by Lemieux on the right side. Into the corner for Turcotte. Centers it in front, he scores! Alfie Turcotte. Jacks lead 1-0. Alfie Turcotte, deep in the right corner, recaptured the puck. He stepped to the side of the goal, and the centering pass, I believe, deflected off a Red Wings defenseman in front and nestled in under the crossbar over the right shoulder of goaltender Darren Elliott. That'll be Turcotte's 6th and the Jacks' 6th power play goal this week in 8 opportunities. It's Baltimore's 23rd power play goal of the season. The Jacks' power play is really reaping a bountiful harvest, and this marks the 7th time in 8 games and the 8th time in their last 10 games that the Skipjacks have choreographed the game's opening goal. So the Jacks continue to subscribe to the same script. Turcotte from Lemieux at 3:40. Alfie Turcotte now has 14 points in his first 7 games as a Skipjack. His 19 assists are most in the league for the league's 5th best point producer. From the faceoff, Steve Chason, the former Detroit Red Wings number 3 draft of 85, whirled across to the right boards at the center red line, and he inadvertently lofted the puck into the crowd deep in Skipjack territory. No further play. Already go with a face-off center zone. It'll be No and Sealing. From the face-off, it squirms to the right boards outside the Baltimore line. Rick Sealing fires in behind the Jacks goal. Tebbett to control it. Around the right wing boards for Lomo. Back into the corner for Tebbett. The opposite direction around the left wing boards for Holmes. He couldn't catch up with it. Huda at the blue line drove it back behind the goal. Tebbett controls that. On right wing at his own line for Lomo. Myron Lomo sends it into Adirondack territory where it's scraped off the backboards by Chason. Now Chason escapes the clutches of Jean-Francois Nadeau. Chason across on right wing at center for Sealing, who reaches the Baltimore line. Pulls up, drove it in behind the goal. Bannerman is there to direct it around the right boards for Lomo. Now Lomo in front of the goal for Hoover. Tim Hoover just sailed it off the right wing boards to center. Chason will control that. drove it into the Baltimore left corner. Greg Tebbett will control it, directing it around the right wing boards at his own line for Byron Lomo, tearing to center, shooting right on. And Elliott kicks that one over the glass into the crowd. No further play. 15:20 left, first period. 1-0 Jacks. Alfie Turcotte on the power play, his sixth. And his third is a skipjack from Alain Lemieux at 3:40. The Jacks' sixth power play goal in 8 advantages this week. Face-off left of Elliott in the Adirondack goal. The Jacks have scored the game's first goal in 7 of their last 8 and 8 of their last 10 games. From the face-off, won by Murkowski. Gobbling it up behind the goal, Dennis Smith. Backhanding to center circle. Blocking that kangarooing puck as Armstrong rolling it to the Adirondack line where Degatano on the right defense sends it into skipjack territory. Controlled on the left boards by Toomey. Back in front of the goal for Armstrong. In the middle at center for Toomey. Sean Toomey over the Adirondack line. That drop pass for Shedden, and he overskated it. Back comes Adirondack. Murkowski on left wing at center. Wrapped it in behind the Baltimore goalie. Charges after it in the corner. Centered it. Bannerman knocked it away. It's loose in front. Brent fired. Blocked by Turcotte. Turcotte springs to center over the Adirondack line. Right in front with a shot, and he fired it wide as he dodged the check of Smith in front. Rebound to the right boards for Murkowski at his own line to center for Harper, and back for Murkowski over the skipjack line. Murkowski forced wide of the boards by Turcotte, who muscled him. Covering behind the goal is Shedden. Doug Shedden leads on left wing at his own line for Toomey. Rinkwad on right wing at center for Turcotte. Over the Adirondack line around Smith. Right in front for Shedden. Shedden scores! Doug Shedden, Jacks lead 2-0. Turcotte again just unzipped and undressed the Adirondack defense, namely Jim Smith, as he just danced past the Adirondack defenseman in a rather sleek maneuver, and he centered one, and Doug Shedden, guns a-blazing, blisters his fourth in as many games and his 7th of the season. Shedden, 7th from Turcotte and Toomey. And the time of the goal is 5:43. The two goals 2:03 apart. And the Jacks have suddenly opened up a 2-0 lead from the faceoff. At the Jacks line, Hoover will control that, rolling it to center zone. Chase on. Across for Fedek, who steps it over the Baltimore line. He was squeezed by Hoover and Peart. Squirms to the right wing boards. Rocky Dundas overskates it. Fedek is there. Thumped by Tebbett. Jostled vigorously by Dundas, and it's Tebbett on his own right wing boards to steer to the Adirondack line. Controlled by Chason. Chason leaves it on the right defense for Huda. Now Doug Huda from center. Stroked it in behind the Jacks goal. Bannerman will set it up for DeFazio rounding the net. DeFazio with a back pass back into the left corner for Tebbett, who came across. Now Tebbett just hoists it up on right wing at center for Perkins, poking it past Chason at the Adirondack line, but Huda cam across. Huda at center for McGannity at the Baltimore line on left wing. McGannity fired, kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound left corner for Rob Nichols. Nichols along the boards, working on Lemieux. Behind the goal for McGannity. McGannity to the right, point for Peter Denis with a high drive over top of the net. The rebound back to the left point for Dennis Smith, holding it in the screen shot. Bannerman the save with McGannity parked in front. It deflects to the right corner, and Tebbett launches it to center circle, where Dennis Smith rifles it back around the Baltimore backboards into the left corner for McGannity. McGannity rubbed out at the backboards by the shoulder check of Tebbett. Controlled along the right point, though, by Sealing. Sealing to the right circle for McGannity, checked by Tebbett. Sealing has it again at the right point. This time he drove it behind the goal. DeFazio will control it on left wing at his own line for Holmes. In the middle at center for Lemieux, and back for Holmes at the Adirondack line with a shot right on. Stick save Elliott. Rebound behind the goal for Dennis Smith, clearing to the line. Armstrong suddenly materializes at the right point. He drove it into the corner. Digging it out, Dennis Smith. His pass seized on the boards by Holmes, right in front for Lomo. And it was blocked by Denis, who clears to center. Armstrong drove it right back on goal. Elliott, the goaltender, fired it up the center zone, where it's controlled by Britt Peart on left wing. He sent it to the Adirondack line, and Peter Denis will control. He wheels across on left wing at center. drove it in behind the Jacks goal. Bannerman will hold for Corrales. Corrales up the middle at his own line for No. They stream out three abreast at center. No drove it in behind the goal. Elliott covers the carom, scooping it up. The whistle sounds, and I think there's a penalty coming up. Elliott was scooping up the carom off the backboards to the right side of the crease below us at the 8:27 mark. I believe there's a Jacks penalty coming up. Jean-Francois No shrugs his shoulders as he's assessed a high sticking penalty, and I think Doug Huda receives a slashing penalty for the Red Wings, so they're twin minors at 8:27. A break of the action, 11:33 left first period. Jacks 2, Adirondack nothing on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. I know Demir's here.
Number 3, Doug Huda. 2 minutes for high sticking. Skipjacks penalty to number 15, Jean-Francois No.
Next to the fans of the Skipjack side.
Time of the penalties, 8:27. Adirondack penalty to number 3, Doug Huda. 2 minutes for high sticking. Skipjacks penalty.
Back to the play. Neither team penalized gears as they are twin minors. Jacks controlled their own line. Corrales up the right wing boards at center for Lomo. He couldn't reach it. Controlled center circle by Krentz, who zooms in over the Baltimore line. Left circle. Krentz fired. Chest high save for Bannerman. Corrales clears to the line. DeGaetano contains right point. Top of the circle for Murkowski. Poked off his stick to center by Lomo, with Lemieux sprawling over the tumbling Byron Lomo. At center zone, Chason launches a rainbow into the Baltimore left circle, and Corrales on the defense drove it to the Adirondack line, where DeGaetano controls on the left side for Chason. Chason from center fired into the Baltimore left corner, covering the carom is Hoover. Leaving in the corner for Toomey, who dropped back. Now Sean Toomey in front of the goal for Hoover, and the Jacks are away. Tim Hoover through center circle, sends it skipping to the side of the goal. Elliott holds for Chason, who circles the net with Toomey in pursuit. He left it behind the goal for the trailer, Phil DeGaetano. Dishing to the right boards for Steve Chason. Rink wide left wing at center for Dale Krentz. Shooting. That's wide to the short side. Rebound skims into the Baltimore left corner. Digging in after is Sampson ahead of Fedek along the left wing boards for Toomey. Toomey chased him behind the goal by Eves. He maintains control. He was jolted in the corner by King, who overpowers him, steals. Side of the goal for Eves. Eves to the left point for Dennis Smith with a shot. Knocked out in front by Toomey. Now Sean Toomey at his own line. On right wing at center for Sampson. Beyond him, down ice. Touched behind the Adirondack goal by Dennis Smith. Jacks charged with icing, a break of the action. 9:59 left first period. Jacks 2, Red Wings nothing on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. These flights arriving at 1:30. No. Gene put me to work last night. Yeah, I talked to him today. We could if I can't get Jacques. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live, Baltimore Arena, 9:59 left opening period. The Jacks triggering a pair of goals, 2:03 apart. Turcotte 6 from Lemieux on a power play at 3:40. Shedden 7 from Turcotte and Toomey at 5:43. Another 2-point game for Alfie Turcotte. From the faceoff, Peter Deneen at the right point fired, and that was wide. The rebound at the left point, Dennis Smith fired, and Turcotte in front blocks that one. Turcotte clears to the blue line, and Dennis Smith on the left point failed to hold it in for Adirondack, and they're called on the offside. 9:46 left. First period, 2-0 Jacks. Alfie Turcotte now, in his 8 games with the Skipjacks, has 15 points, 3 goals, 12 assists. And in 7 of those 8 games, he has produced 2 or more points, including the first period of this game already today. From the faceoff, Tevitt behind the goal. Winds it around the left boards for Toomey. Up the boards at his own line for Turcotte. Leaving for Toomey. Clearing to the line. Contained by McGannity. A weak backhander on goal. Boy, that one snaked through a chorus line of legs in front. And Murray Bannerman was almost caught off guard. And he finally pounced on top of that one with Corrales and Tevitt surrounding him in defense. 9:31 left first period. 2-0 Jacks. Face-off will unfold. Circle left of Bannerman in the Skipjack goal. This is the second of a 3-game homestand for the Jacks. They'll conclude it here Wednesday night, 7:30, hosting Springfield. That's the ever-popular SK Turkey Shoot night. From the faceout, at the center red line and right wing, Doug Huda rockets it around the Baltimore backboards all the way to the blue line at the left point. Jason fired, and that was wide. The rebound all the way to the right point for Huda with a shot. Pad save Bannerman. The rebound in front of Murkowski was overpowered by Tebbett. Controlled along the boards. On the left side by Greg Tebbett. Now Tebbett rolled it to the line. Jason center point failed to hold it in, and all the Red Wings are ensnarled offside. No further play. 9:05 left, first period, 2-0 Jacks. Face-off outside. The Skipjack blue line below us. On their left wing, Red Wings with 6 shots, and the Skipjacks with 5. Turcotte and Shedden, the goal-scoring impresarios in this opening period. Jacks have now outscored their opponents in the first period on home ice, 10-8. From the faceoff, Peter Dineen on right wing at center, rifles it in behind the Jacks goal. Bannerman will blockade for Ian Armstrong. Now Armstrong along the left wing boards. He'll start out on left wing at center for Sampson. That one handcuffed him through his legs to the Adirondack line, where Peter Dineen controls at center for Eves, who hits the Baltimore line, shooting, and he fired it just wide. The rebound to the right boards for Armstrong. Now Ian Armstrong up on left wing at center for Pierre. Pierre over the Adirondack line, but he was checked by Chris King, and it came outside the line. And as Ian Armstrong, the trailer, tried to drag it in behind him, he set himself offside for the Jacks. No further play. 8:37 left. First period, and it's 2-0 Skipjacks. Want to remind you to stay tuned. We'll be guesting with our Skipjack fan of the game coming up at our first intermission this afternoon. And the Jacks will cap the 3-game homestand here at the Baltimore Arena Wednesday night, 7:30, hosting Springfield on the ever-popular annual Thanksgiving SK Turkey Shoot night. Face-off outside the Adirondack line across the way from us on the Jacks right wing. From the face-off, it skims in front of the goal. Control by Huda. Now Doug Huda on right wing at center. Wrapped it in behind the Baltimore goal. Bannerman holds for Armstrong. Armstrong jostled vigorously by Sealing. They continue to fight forward in a feisty fashion beyond the goal. McGannity is there, but he was overpowered by Turcotte. Now Alfie Turcotte romps to center on left wing over the Adirondack line, right in front for Toomey, and he fired it wide. And back come the Red Wings. Sealing on left wing at center, lopes it over the Baltimore line. The drop pass in the circle for Nichols, cracked from behind by Shedden. Covering behind the goal is DeFazio. Dean DeFazio around the left wing boards for Toomey. Now Sean Toomey's clearing pass, knocked down by Sealing into the right corner for Nichols. Nichols does a pirouette past the check of Toomey, who pulls him down. And there'll be a Jacks holding penalty to Sean Toomey. Only his second minor penalty of the campaign, and it came when he was fatigued and weary and tired, when a lot of times a forward will take a penalty. At 12:13, the Jacks were set to change lines. So with 7:47 left, opening period, the Jacks will be shorthanded for the first time. Toomey, 2 minutes for holding at 12:13. The Red Wings power play has been floundering lately. It is only 16 for 98 with a proficiency rating of only 16.3%. The faceoff will be circled off to Bannerman. From the faceoff, it squirms between the hash marks in front of the Jacks goal, and Greg Tebbett, with a stellar first period, floats it down ice. Now Doug Huda behind the goal will engineer the power play rush. Huda for the Red Wings at his own line, straight up the middle to center. He winds it around the Baltimore backboards into the corner for Krantz. Checked by Hoover. Dug out behind the goal by Tebbett around the right wing boards. Tebbett for Gary Sampson at the line. Jammed by Huda, pinching in. Now Huda steers in behind the goal for Warren Harper. Harper directs it to the right corner for Krantz, to the right point for Chason with a shot. Lemieux deflects it harmlessly to the side of the goal. Digging it out there as Harper. Whistle sounds. Not certain what this is all about. I think the left goal post has been removed from its magnetic moorings behind the goaltender Bannerman. So the Jacks gain a form of temporary relief here and an opportunity to reorganize with 7:07 left first period and 1:20 for the Toomey penalty. The faceoff will ensue, and Brew circle left of Bannerman in the Baltimore goal. Elaine Lemieux for the Jacks, who has one of their 3 shorthanded goals against Glenn Murkowski, who led the league in shorthanded artistry last season with 7, and Lemieux won it, and he sails it down ice. Chason behind the goal. He'll maestro the power play march. Up on right wing at center for Doug Huda in full flight. He hits the Baltimore line. Working on Hoover, who rode him off at the top of the circle. Controlled by Tebbett. At center for Sampson at the Adirondack line. Sampson fired, and that was wide. The rebound, Karam's in front, and Dale Krentz peels back and controls. Krentz to center and left wing. Zooming in over the Baltimore line, and Warren Harper is offside on right wing for the Red Wings. No further play. 6:35 left opening period. 48 seconds for the Jacks. Penalty to Sean Toomey. And it's 2-0 Skipjacks. Face-off will occur outside the Skipjack line. So the Jacks will embrace this slight territorial advantage while still shorthanded, keeping the face-offs removed from the danger district of their own zone. Alfie Turcotte, who's had a splendid opening period in the face-off with Red Wings captain Murray Eves. From the face-off, won by Turcotte, right on the Baltimore line. Michael Holmes comes across to lasso it, and he sends it down ice. Phil DeGaetano, the third-year pro, will start out. DeGaetano, the former star from the Northern Michigan University, lugs it up the right side at center, fires it around the Baltimore backboards, all the way to the left circle where King shoots, he scores! Chris King on the power play, and the Jacks lead 2-1. I think that shot caught Murray Bannerman napping somewhat. DeGaetano just rifled it around the Baltimore backboards, and it carried into the left circle where Chris King was planted, and King fired it right off the stick of Bannerman, and it sailed upstairs at 13:46. So both teams capitalized on their only power play ventures of the period. Chris King, the rookie from Peterborough, signed as a free agent by Parent Club Detroit to a 3-year contract. King's 7th is second against the Jacks. King from DeGaetano at 13:46 on the power play, and the Jacks lead is sliced in half. Now puck deep in the Baltimore left corner. Let's see if the Jacks have the poise and the composure now to maintain the lead. This is when they start usually self-destructing. Now from the face-off, puck into the Baltimore right corner. Peer up the boards for Sampson. Sampson across in front of the goal for Ian Armstrong, and the Jacks are away. Armstrong on left wing at center for Britt Peer. He slammed it off the boards in behind the goal. Covering is Dennis Smith. Dishing to the right boards for DeGaetano, up the boards at his own line for Fedek. In the middle at center for Eves, poked off his stick by Corrales. Corralled at the Baltimore line by Rocky Dundas. Now Dundas on left wing at center. Reaches the Red Wing line. Checked by Rob Nichols. Controlled back at center zone by Corrales, the trailer. Corrales on left wing, flutters it in behind the Adirondack goal. Dennis Smith will control. Turcotte stalking his prey in front. Now Smith on right wing at his own line for DeGaetano. He just launches it to the side of the Baltimore goal. Bannerman himself drove it up on right wing at his own line for Shedden. In the middle at center for Turcotte, jitterbugging in over the Adirondack line. Right in front for Shedden, though, and he lashed it over top of the net, over the glass, into the crowd. No further play as Doug Shedden that time just powered his way through the Adirondack defense and Steve Chason, only to watch his shot that he lashed sail over the glass into the crowd. And that was really a spellbinding singular effort and bid by Doug Shedden, the former Adirondack and Detroit Red Wing. 4:59 left opening period, 2-1 Skipjacks. Turcotte and Sealing on the face-off outside the Red Wing line. It's Rick Sealing to control it back to his own line for Doug Huda on the right defense. Huda leads on left wing at center for Chason, who reaches the Baltimore line around Hoover, swerving through the left circle, shooting. Bannerman the save on the short side, the rebound controlled by Shedden. Doug Shedden in the middle at center for Alfie Turcotte, who hits the Adirondack line around Chason. Centered it to the left point for DeFazio. DeFazio closes into the circle and fires, and that was wide. DeFazio is trapped. Back come the Red Wings. Nichols, Rinkwad and right wing at center for McGannity, beyond him to the side of the Baltimore goal. Bannerman controlled that. In front of the goal for Hoover. Now Hoover's pass halted at the line by Nichols with a shot. Knocked out in front by DeFazio. He directs it out of harm's way to the right boards for Toomey. Up the boards at center for Shedden. Spun around by Smith. Back come the Red Wings. Nichols at the Baltimore line, skated off by Hoover. It skims into the Baltimore left corner. Covering up is DeFazio. Dean DeFazio just sails it down ice. They'll negate icing with 4 minutes left in the period, 2-1 Jacks. Peter Dineen will control it. Now Dineen, who's played with 7 AHL teams in 6 years, is underway at his own line. Dineen to center circle. Drove it in behind the Jacks goal. It eludes Bannerman, who came out into the right wing corner. Dug out by Murkowski, centered it right in front. And Armstrong was there to whip it off the right boards, down ice. Racing to reach it is Dennis Smith. In pursuit is Michael Holmes, who was tumbled in front by Dineen. Now Smith leads on left wing at his own line for Dale Krentz. Knocked off his stick by Perkins, back into the Adirondack left circle. Dineen comes across the control, seeking refuge with it behind the goal, Peter Dineen. Ahead at his own line for Glenn Murkowski. Murkowski at center, steps it over the Baltimore line, the drop pass for Warren. Harper in that soft side. No further play. A break of the action, 3:15 left, opening period. Jacks 2, Red Wings 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. How'd you get the signal to him? Oh, okay. Now from the face-off, puck in behind the Jacks goal. Digging in after it is Murray Eves. He was stapled to the boards by Sampson. Corralled behind the goal by Ian Armstrong. Now Armstrong up on left wing, still at the Baltimore line for Peer. Britt Peer in the middle at center for Corrales. Corrales wheels on right wing, backhanding behind the Red Wing goal. Tracked down by Chason. Now Steve Chason on left wing at his own line for King. Up the boards at center for Eves. Dundas was there to intercede. Back to his own line for Tebbett on the defense. Tebbett at center for Britt Peer. Romping into the Adirondack line. Centered one. And Dundas fired it wide. The rebound along the boards. Digging it out on the right side is Eves, but contained left point by Hoover with a shot. Eves deflects that one harmlessly across to the Adirondack left corner where Chason controls. Steve Chason heads up the left side at center and drove it in behind the goal. Covering up is Tebbett. Up on right wing at his own line for Shedden. Rink wanted left wing at center for Sean Toomey, who reaches the Adirondack line. Backhanding on goal. Elliott the save. The rebound. Kangaroos right in front and jumped right over the stick of Shedden. Back come the Red Wings. McGannity to center. Over the Baltimore line into the left circle, working on Tebbett, who strong-armed him. Now Greg Tebbett at his own line. His pass seized in the corner by Sealing. Sealing wheels in behind the goal. Turcotte draped over his back, rode him off. Now Alfie Turcotte deep in the left corner. Slipped it in behind the goal for Tebbett. Now Greg Tebbett wheels to the right boards, maintaining control. He drove it around the back boards, opposite direction on the left side for Hoover. Tim Hoover at his own line. Hoover from center, sailed it in behind the Adirondack goal. Elliott swept it away from the onrushing Doug Shedden to the right boards for Nichols. Nichols across diagonally on left wing at center for Krentz. Beyond him to the goaltender Bannerman. Bannerman himself up the middle at center for Turcotte. It jumped off his stick as Turcotte was checked by Murkowski. Control back at the Red Wing line on the right defense by Steve Chason. Chason with 1:10 left in the period. Up on left wing at center for Doug Huda. Huda drove it around the Baltimore backboards to the right side for Murkowski after Peer overskated it. Now Murkowski squeezed to the boards by Peer, but dug out by Harper. Harper trying to evade the check of DeFazio, who crunched him. It skids in behind the goal. Armstrong is there with Peer to converge on Murkowski. And Ian Armstrong from the Jacks right wing boards just propels it down ice. Tracked down behind the goal by Chason. Now Steve Chason ahead at his own line for Krentz on right wing at center for Harper at the Baltimore line. He was cracked down by Peer. Dug out behind the goal by DeFazio. He rakes it around the boards. DeFazio on right wing at center for Dundas. Now Dundas at the Adirondack line. He was pulled down by King. Adirondack penalty coming up. Action halted, and there will be a Red Wings hooking penalty forthcoming to Chris King late in the period at the 1940 mark. A break of the action. Jacks 2, Adirondack 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Does he know it's the second intermission? Okay.
Adirondack penalty to number 9, Chris King. 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 19:40. Adirondack penalty to number 9, Chris King. 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 19:40.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. King, 2 minutes hooking, 1940. Face off left of Elliott. Red Wing goal. Lemieux and Eves, the ladder control. Low in the circle. Deneen clears to the line. Contained right point by Shedden. Along the boards for Lemieux. Right point for Shedden. The shot! And King and Elliott kicks that one over the glass into the crowd. No further play. And the Jacks power play continues to leave one with a lasting impression. The Jacks power play 6 for 8 this week. They were 3 for 5 here on Friday night in their 6-4 undoing against Utica. And they connected on their last 2 efforts Tuesday night in their 7-6 setback inflicted by the Saints at Newmarket. Face-off circle left of Elliott in the Adirondack goal. Red Wings have 9 shots in this period, the Jacks 7. Still 150 for the power play and 10 seconds for the period. Crucial face-off, Lemieux and Eves. Now a late change for the Adirondack bench, and playing assistant coach Rick Sealing, the forward 10-year NHL product with Buffalo and Detroit, is dispatched over the boards. Lemieux won it in the circle. Perkins to the right point for Shedden. Left point for Turcotte with a shot, and he fired it wide. Rebound to the right boards for Lemieux. He was checked by the linesman, and time will expire. And Rick Zerbe is probably more disgruntled about it than anyone else. He was very animated and very demonstrative. All ready to go from the face of it. The Jacks line control by Turcotte. He heads up the left side at center. Over the Adirondack line, forced wide of the boards by Huda, who wrapped it through the legs of Toomey at the left point to center zone. Toomey hurries back forward in front of Murkowski. Back to the Baltimore line for Shedden. Now Doug Shedden at center at the Adirondack line for Lemieux. He left it on the blue line for Toomey, who just backhands it aimlessly in front, and Murkowski has a breakaway. Over the Baltimore line, right in front for Krentz, and he was checked at the doorstep brilliantly by Turcotte. And back come the Jacks. Doug Shedden romps to center. Over the Red Wing line, swerving through the right circle, centered it all the way across to the left point for Turcotte, and he couldn't get there in time. He has to play it back to center zone for Perkins. Now Perkins, rink wide of the left wing for Shedden at the Red Wing line. Along the board, Shedden upended by Krentz. The 2 sprawl, and it's fired down ice by Huda. Now Bannerman himself will headman it in front of the goal for Terry Perkins. Now Perkins at his own line with 40 seconds for the power play. Perkins to center. Action halted. I think the Jacks are guilty of having too many men on the ice. I count 6 right now. The Jacks had too many men on the ice during the power play. And they'll be penalized. The time of the penalty will be 1:02. The Jacks, there was confusion at the Baltimore bench, and there was just 1 too many Skipjacks on the ice. The game was meant to be played by 5 in front of the goaltenders, not 6. And Byron Lomo will serve the penalty at 1:02. So that will short-circuit the Jacks power play that still had 38 seconds and present Adirondack with power play time for 1:42 once that Chris King penalty expires. Face-off outside the Red Wing line. Below us on the Jacks right wing. No and Eves. Murray Eves controls it for Peter Deneen, who will bait a hasty retreat with it behind his own goal. Now Deneen will start out. Peter Deneen at his own line on the left wing at center for Smith, who steps it over the Baltimore line. Dennis Smith drove it in behind the goal. Digging after it, Fedek. Bannerman comes out to intervene. He clears to the line. Deneen contains right point. His pass along the boards for Fedek. He was crunched by Corrales, and it's cleared to center by Holmes. Fedek at center zone, directs it back into Baltimore territory. No from the left wing corner. Drove it around the backboards on the right side for Tabit, who steers to the Adirondack line, and the penalty is over to King. Adirondack will control in its own zone, but chasing it down in the right corner is No. In pursuit, Dennis Smith, who really rubbed him out robustly in the corner. And Adirondack will start out on the power play. Peter Deneen at his own line at center for Murray Eves, but that one traveled 2 lines, and the Red Wings are offside. 18:06 left, second period. 1:08 remaining in the bench minor for too many men on the ice, being served by the Jacks right wing, Byron Lomo. It's 2-1 Skipjacks. We will attempt to ascertain an injury report on defenseman Tim Hoover. Face-off will be barely inside the Adirondack line, across the way from us on the Jacks left wing. Tim Hoover hobbled to the ice with the assistance of his teammates at the conclusion of the opening period. and we'll try to find out the matter with him. From the faceoff, Ian Armstrong tracks it down at the Jacks line on the left wing boards, wrapping it to the Adirondack line. Huda in front of Lemieux to control for Harper. Harper on right wing at center for Krentz, leaving at center circle for Huda. Stolen by Lemieux, who has a breakaway over the Adirondack line. Lemieux fires, and Elliott the save. Lemieux from the left circle fired, and back on the Red Wings. At their own line, Harper will control. 40 seconds for the power play. Warren Harper through center over the Baltimore line along the right wing boards for Krentz, who pulls up. Krentz pours into the circle, shooting. Knocked out in front by DeFazio. The puck skims all the way through to the left boards. Krentz chases it down to the left point for Chase on right point for Huda. Huda to the right boards for Murkowski. Murkowski from the circle shoots. He rang it off the goalpost. The rebound to the left point. Chase on fires. Harper deflects it and scores. Warren Harper, and Adirondack is tied at 2-2. The Red Wings are 2 for 2 on the power play, and the Jacks' 2-0 lead has vanished. Warren Harper extends his scoring streak to 5 games, and for Harper, the former 4-year Rochester veteran, that's his 8th goal of the season. And again, it's a classic case of the Jacks defensemen not being physical in front of the goal. The opposition always having their own way at the Skipjacks goal crease. So Adirondack strikes with 2 consecutive power play goals, and the Jacks' 2-0 lead is erased. They have credited the goal to Chason, though it appeared that Harper deflected it. From the faceoff, puck is into Adirondack territory. The whistle sounds, and the linesmen seem confused. One was set to call it icing. Another one was set to call it a skipjack offside. And I think the one who called it icing is going to win. So the Jacks are accused of icing. They have credited the goal to Chason from Murkowski and Huda at 2:43. A Glenn Murkowski shot rang the goalpost from the right circle as he really blistered one through a screen. And then the rebound carried him to the blue line. And Chason fired. It appeared Harper in front deflected it upstairs. We'll see if they change that goal. It's a 2-2 tie. From the faceoff, the puck behind the Jacks goal. McGannity converged down by Shedden and Corrales, who really crunched him. Covering behind the goal is Turcotte. Now Alfie Turcotte will start out at his own line. His pass was weak at center circle. Nichols to control it. Nichols on right wing for McGannity at the Baltimore line. Shouldered lustily by Turcotte. The puck skids into the Red Wing zone. Racing after it, Smith in pursuit. Shedden behind the goal. Dennis Smith loses the Shedden check. Smith at his own line, lugging it up the left side at center, lashing it around the Baltimore backboards. All the way to the right side. There's going to be a penalty coming up, I believe, to the Skipjacks again. Action halted as Alfie Turcotte capsized, Rob Nichols deep in the Jacks left wing corner, and one senses that the wheels are coming off this Jack attack again in this second period. The door is losing its hinges one more time. Turcotte, 2 minutes for interference at 3:30. And this is not the way to start a period that you were leading. The Jacks have already frittered away a 2-0 lead. Turcotte, 2 minutes for interference at 3:30. And that'll produce a face-off left to Bannerman in the Jacks goal. The Adirondack power play, which had been in a somewhat drab and dreary state entering today's game, operating at only a 16.3% proficiency ratio, 2 for 2 today. It has awakened from its slumber number. Face-off left of Bannerman. Turcotte, 2 minutes interference at 3:30. Lemieux and Eves on the face-off. The Adirondack 2 power play goals providing them the impetus to erase the 2-0 deficit. Lemieux and Eves. Won by Eves to the right point for Huda. Left point for Chason with a shot. He scores! Murray Bannerman deflects it. And the Red Wings lead 3-2. 2 Steve Chason point shots from the left side. The first one deflected by Harper. The second one by Eves. 5 seconds into the Turcotte penalty, the Jacks continue to lose crucial face-offs deep in their own zone. And that one has cost them, and cost them dearly. The Red Wings with 3 unanswered power play goals, including 2 in under a minute. 2 power play goals in 52 seconds, and the Jacks' 2-0 lead is long gone. Murray Eves, he now has 6 points in 2 games against the Jacks. Chason and Huda on the assist. They assisted on the first goal as well of this 2-goal power play outburst. Now here's where the Jacks really get in trouble. They lose their poise and composure and they just start running around. Here's Fedek bringing the puck in front of the goal. Spun around by DeFazio. Deflects on the left boards for Pierre. Up the boards at center for Sampson. Crossing the Baltimore line. Checked by Hoodoo. Poked it to center zone. Rocky Dundas back into his own zone. The right defense for Armstrong. Armstrong in the middle at center for Sampson. On left wing for Dundas, who's all over the place but his own wing. And the puck all the way back to the Adirondack line. Control by Chason. His pass halted center circle by Armstrong and was jolted by Fedek, who feeds Huda at the Baltimore line. And the Huda shot is kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound to the right circle. Armstrong clears to center circle. Chason drove it in behind the goal. The Jacks fans are claiming that the Red Wings had too many men on the ice and the referee didn't see it. Now Britt Pierre on left wing at center. Reaches the Red Wing line. Drove it in behind their goal. Warren Harper will control it. Now Harper rounds the net. Harper at his own line up on right wing at center for Peter Danini. Reaches the Baltimore line, drifting it in behind the goal. Charging after it is Krentz. Now Dale Krentz back to center point for Degatano with a shot. And that one struck the goalpost. The rebound to the right point for Deneen behind the goal for Harper. The centering pass blocked at the crease by Tebbett. Now Tebbett just flings it over the head of Deneen at the right point. Down ice. Degatano races for it behind the goal and outdistances the on-rushing Doug Shedden. The Jacks are charged for icing. A break in the action. 14:42 left, second period. Adirondack 3, the Jacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Guys just can't stand the prosperity. You can see as soon as they came out for the start of the second period, they weren't ready to play. Now from the faceoff, Tom Corrales behind the Jacks goal, pulls up sharply, delivering it to the left boards for Michael Holmes. Holmes was thumped by Nichols as he's forced to just relinquish the puck and fire it down ice. Phil Degatano to reach it behind the Adirondack goal, and the Jacks are charged for icing. One sensed when this second period began that the Jacks were not ready to play. They appeared unprepared for this second period. They took a couple of foolish penalties early in this period, and Adirondack, the veteran-laden, high-octane team that it is, exploited the Jacks' gaffes early and the Jacks' unpreparedness in this second period. Lemieux ends Sealing on the faceoff. Won by Lemieux, captured low in the left circle by Tebbett as Lemieux dropped Sealing to the ice. Now Tebbett up on left wing at center for Perkins, reaching the Adirondack line, thumped on the defense by Deneen. Action halted. There's going to be a high sticking penalty, I believe, to Peter Deneen. He thumped Perkins and then high sticked him. And I believe Deneen, the coach's son, will be chased for high sticking at 5:41. Terry Perkins had reached the Adirondack line on left wing, and he was attempting to bypass the Red Wing defenseman when he was thumped. And then the first physical contact from Deneen was legal, but then Deneen high-sticked Perkins after the initial body contact. Deneen 2 minutes high-sticking, 5:41. Jacks have only one shot on goal thus far in this period. Red Wings lead 3-2. Jacks once led 2-0. From the faceoff, Doug Shedden on right wing at center. Strokes it around the Adirondack backboards all the way to the left side for Lemieux. Left point for Turcotte. Right point for Shedden. Along the boards for Toomey. Right point for Shedden. Right circle for Toomey with a shot. The save by Elliott. Rebound left point. Oh, Turcotte fired it through the crease. All the way to the right boards for Toomey. Right point for Shedden. Left point for Turcotte. Turcotte wheels in the circle, firing, deflected into the corner by Huda. Huda will dig it out there, clearing to the line. Turcotte contains on the left point. Right point for Shedden with a shot. Elliott the save. The rebound in front is backhanded past Shedden at the right point to center by Chason. Control by Turcotte for Toomey. Toomey at the Adirondack line on the left wing. drove it in behind the goal. Covering up there, Chason, and he rockets it off the boards past Turcotte at the left point, down ice. Coming up to 1 minute for the power play as Doug Shedden is underway at his own line. Shedden wheels in the middle at center, reaches the Adirondack line through the defense, right in on goal, and Shedden fired it wide. The rebound along the left wing boards, dug out by Perkins to the left point for Turcotte. Turcotte holds it in. Now Alfie Turcotte charges into the left circle. He bursts right in front and he fired it right through the crease. No, failed to convert. Back on the Red Wings, 2-on-1. Krentz to center over the Baltimore line. Right in front for Murkowski, and he backhanded it wide with 31 seconds left in the power play. Now Jean-Francois Nault right in front of the crease. Upended by Murkowski, and he's forced to just sweep it to the Adirondack line. Backpedaling in the circle with it is Chason. He takes a look at the clock. It reads 18 seconds for the power play as he drove it into the Baltimore zone. Turcotte controls. Alfie Turcotte at his own line on right wing at center for Shedden. Crossing the Adirondack line, he ran into Holmes. And back come the Red Wings. On left wing at center, Nichols thunders into the Baltimore line through the left circle. The backhander is wide. The rebound along the boards. Digging it on the left side is No. The penalty is over. Jean-Francois Nault at center. Upended from behind rudely by Sealing. Puck into the Adirondack left corner. Smith to control it in front of Lomo. Now Smith ahead. In the middle at center for Nichols at the Baltimore line for Sealing around DeFazio. Right in front for Nichols. It was behind him as he was checked by Armstrong. Dug out in the left corner by McGannity. His centering pass was halted in front by Holmes. Holmes clears to the line. Contained right point by Chason. Behind the goal for Nichols. Disrupted by Armstrong up on right wing for Lomo. The Jacks are away. Lomo rink-wide left wing at center for No. Behind him. Control back in front of the Jacks goal by Armstrong, leaving it there for DeFazio. Now Dean DeFazio romps to center. Hits the Adirondack line. Around Chason left circle. Centers it through the crease. And Sampson failed to convert in a rising snow shower. Puck all the way back to the Baltimore zone. Covering up on the defense is Sampson. Now Sampson at center. His pass halted by Brent Fedek, who scurries into the Baltimore line. Right circle. Fedek rolled it to the crease. Swept away by Bannerman. Dug out behind the goal by King. King at the backboards. Checked by Sampson, who controls. Now Gary Sampson along the left wing boards. He was pulled down by King. And there will be an Adirondack hooking penalty to Chris King as he was overzealous in his forward-checking duties at 8:59. A break in the action. Another Jacks power play coming up. It's Adirondack 3, the Skipjacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Adirondack penalty to number 9, Chris King. 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 8:59. Adirondack penalty to number 9, Chris King. 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 8:59.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. Chris King, 2 minutes hooking at 8:59. That's how the second period started, with a King hooking penalty. A spillover from late in the opening period. From the faceoff, inside Adirondack territory, Murkowski clears to center. Controlled on the right side by Doug Shedden. Shedden fires it into the Adirondack right corner. Charging after it, Dineen with Perkins, who rode him off. Now Perkins, side of the goal for Turcotte. Back to the left point for Tebbett. Tebbett tried to send it across to the right point for Shedden. It was weak. Blocked by Krentz at center for Murkowski over the Baltimore line. Now Murkowski in the left corner. He fired it through the crease to the right wing boards. It comes all the way through to Krentz. And Dale Krentz directs it all the way back into his own zone. On the right defense for Dennis Smith, who fires it down ice. 1:17 for the power play, 10:16 for the period, 3-2 Red Wings. Doug Shedden behind the goal leaves for Turcotte, who circles the net. Now Alfie Turcotte is underway at his own line. He had his pocket picked at center by Krentz, who fleeced it off his stick and drove it back into Skipjack territory, where it's handled in front of the goal by Shedden. 1 minute for the power play. Shedden for Tebbett at his own line, and back for Shedden on right wing. Shedden at center over the Adirondack line. Spun around from behind by Sealing, who sweeps it down ice. Now Murray Bannerman will control it himself in front of the goal. Evading the check of Eves, he headmans it on left wing for Toomey, up the boards at center for Lemieux. Lemieux jitterbugs in over the Adirondack line. Try to slip it through the legs of Huda at the top of the circle for Dundas, and Huda with a spinorama sweeps it back into the Baltimore zone. Dundas will control at his own line. Rocky Dundas barrels up the left side at center. Over the Adirondack line. Spun around in the circle by Huda. Dug out in the right corner by Chason. 20 seconds for the power play, and Chason fires it down ice. Bannerman will control it. Behind the goal for Armstrong with Murkowski in pursuit. Armstrong leaves it behind the goal for Tebbett as Murkowski was draped over his back. Now Tebbett straight ahead at his own line for Gary Sampson, hurrying to center. Sampson hops it over the Adirondack line, spilled from behind by Huda. But it didn't matter. Rocky Dundas is offside on right wing for the Jacks. No further play. 9:03 left, second period, 2 seconds for the Jacks power play. Adirondack 3, the Skipjacks 2. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Winning numbers again, 3793 and 3751.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. 9:03 left, second period. It's 3-2 Red Wings. From the faceoff at the Red Wing blue line. DeGaetano on the right defense, sends it to the Baltimore line. The penalty to King is over. Controlled in the Jacks left circle by Dean DeFazio. Across on right wing at center for Lomo. He was upended by Krentz. Controlled though by Pierre, who steals at the Adirondack line with a shot. And Dennis Smith deflects that one over the glass and over the heads of the ducking and dodging quintet of cheerleaders, make it a sextet of cheerleaders that are standing on the stage. And they are probably the absolute epitome of stage fright at the moment, as they were watching the flight of that rising meteoric black biscuit. Faceoff will be the origination of the Britt Peer aborted blast above and between the circles. Won by Lomo, center point Armstrong. Wrapped it into the right corner. Dennis Smith, pass halted along the boards by No. Jean-Francois No wheels right in front. He whirls all the way across to the right boards, sweeping it in behind the goal. Digging in after the left corner is Peer. Peer leaves it there for Lomo. Now Lomo along the boards for Peer. Checked there by Murkowski, who controls it out of harm's way behind the goal for Dennis Smith and into the right corner for DeGaetano. Now Phil DeGaetano leads at his own line for Murkowski. His pass halted at center by Noah, who wraps it over the Adirondack line right in front for Lomo, and it was smothered by a sprawling block by Dennis Smith in the circle. No further play. A break of the action, 8:09 left, second period. Adirondack 3, the Skipjacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Back to the play. Red Wings control in their own zone. Steve Chason at his own line on the left defense. Sends the puck trampolining to center zone. Control by the Jacks, Greg Tebbett. Tebbett just drove it to the Adirondack line. Control by Chason. Chason at center. Over the Baltimore line on the left wing for Sealing. Top of the circle for McGannity with a shot. Bannerman the save. The rebound in front. Dundas is there. Now Dundas ahead on left wing at center for Lemieux. He drove it into the Adirondack left corner as he tried to angle that one. Lemieux was sent crashing to the ice in the left circle by Doug Huda. And Huda will be chased, I believe, for interference at 12:32 as he really thumped and dumped Alain Lemieux in the circle to the right of goaltender Aaron Elliott. And the Jacks will be presented their third consecutive power play of the period. Adirondack has been a much more physical team in this second period, and that is really uncharacteristic of this team. The Red Wings are normally a more finesse-laden team. They play with a lot of guile, a lot of savvy and moxie and finesse. But of course, the Skipjacks are not physical at all this season, so the Red Wings are exploiting that Baltimore deficiency as well. Tim Hoover, incidentally, has sustained a recurrence of that concussion, and he is through for the day. All ready to go with a face-off. Huda, 2 minutes interference, 12:32. Face-off right of Elliott, Adirondack goal. Now from the face-off, dug out in the left corner by Toomey. Now Toomey had it stripped from his stick by Eves. Eves rockets it around the left wing boards over the glass into the crowd. No further play. And that'll precipitate a face-off circle left of Elliott. in the Adirondack goal. The Jacks have limited the Red Wings to only 13 shots on goal thus far. Certainly far below what the Jacks' normal allowance is. But the Jacks themselves have managed a measly 10 shots on goal with 7:17 left second period, and it's 3-2 Red Wings. This is the Jacks' fourth power play of the afternoon. From the faceoff, control by Lemieux. Along the right wing boards for Toomey. Into the corner for Lemieux, and he eludes him. In behind the goal, Dennis Smith is there, and Smith just sails it across to the Adirondack right wing boards over the glass into the crowd. No further play. And that'll produce another faceoff circle left of Elliott. The Jacks have scored 6 power play goals this week. This is their third consecutive power play in this period. And the Jacks, I stand corrected, this is Baltimore's 5th power play of the afternoon, yet they only have 10 shots on goal, and this is their 5th power play. 10 shots on goal for the whole game. But Adirondack has allowed the fewest goals against in the league, though. Lemieux won the faceoff, right point for Shedden, in the circle for Toomey. Toomey rolled it to the doorstep for Lemieux, fired! What a save by Elliott. The rebound to the right point for Shedden. Shedden into the corner for Lemieux. Along the boards for Toomey. Right point for Shedden. In the circle for Toomey, who shoots, and he fired it wide. The rebound behind the goal. Dennis Smith with his glove, tucked it underneath his body. Steve Chason crashes the Jacks player, Terry Perkins, to the ice with a rude, robust body belt. The linesmen are there. There's going to be a penalty to someone. The referee has indicated such. Dennis Smith was falling behind the goal, and he tucked the puck underneath his body. Then Steve Chason really crashed the Jacks player, Terry Perkins, the team leader in power play goals with 6 to the ice, and it's Chason who will receive the penalty for cross-checking at 13-14. We had just mentioned that the Red Wings players have been taking some rather physical liberties with the Jacks in this second period, but they're also acutely aware of the fact that this is not a physical skipjack team, which has normally been the case in the Gene Ubriaco 5-year regime. So the Jacks are presented a grand opportunity here. They have a 2-man advantage for 1 minute and 18 seconds with 2 Red Wing defensemen in the penalty box. It was Huda for interference at 12:32, Chason for cross-checking at 13:14. All ready to go. And now the Skipjack crowd is aroused and alive. The faceoff will be circle left of Elliott and the Red Wing goal. The Skipjack crowd has been in a somewhat, shall we say, Sunday sleepy state. All ready to go. Lemieux, Perkins, Toomey, Shedden, Turcotte, 5 forwards. The lone forward for the Red Wings will be Murkowski. Oh, they're going with 2 forwards. I think Dale Krentz is on as well. 2 forwards, and the lone defenseman is Dennis Smith. From the faceoff, won by Lemieux to the right point for Shedden. Along the boards for Lemieux. Now Lemieux holds, centered it. Turcotte shoots, blocked by a tumbling Murkowski in the circle. The rebound to the left corner for Perkins. Perkins bolts in front, stripped of the puck by Murkowski. The puck is loose in the right circle. Smith sweeps it past Shedden at center point, down ice. 52 seconds for the power play. Doug Shedden retraces his steps behind the Jacks goal. Now Shedden leads on right wing at center for Alfie Turcotte, who dashes in over the Red Wing line. Along the right wing boards, poking it into the corner for Toomey. Now Toomey leaves it there for Lemieux. Lemieux on the right boards. He pulls up into the circle for Turcotte, snapping the shot. Dennis Smith deflects it behind the goal. Digging it out in the right corner is Turcotte. Along the boards for Lemieux. Lemieux at the top of the circle. Whistle sounds. The left goal post is lifted from its moorings. And that will afford the Red Wings the opportunity to gain the briefest of respites with 24 seconds remaining in their 2-man shorthanded dilemma. And that allows GM coach Gene Ubriaco to dispatch Gary Sampson on the boards to replace Terry Perkins. So it'll be Lemieux, Sampson, and Toomey across in front. Turcotte and Shedden on the points. 5:52 left second period. 24 seconds remaining in the Skipjacks 2-man advantage, and they trail 3-2. Krentz and Lemieux on the faceoff. And I believe Lemieux has been evicted. So Turcotte will move in, and Sampson will move back to center point. All ready to go. It'll be Turcotte and Dale Krentz. One by Krentz. Control behind the goal by Dennis Smith. He rolled it right to the crease, but Glenn Murkowski was on the scene, and the ever-present one just flings it down ice. Doug Shedden circles the Jacks net. Now Shedden leads on right wing at center for Gary Sampson, who zooms in over the Adirondack line. Right wing boards for Lemieux, pulling up. Lemieux, center point for Shedden. Shedden loads the gun. Right circle for Lemieux with a shot. Elliott the save. The first penalty is over to Huda. Rebound to the right circle for Sampson. Side of the goal for Lemieux. He centered it right through the crease, and Turcotte failed to convert. It deflects to the right boards, and Krentz backhands down ice. 25 seconds for the one-man advantage. Now Doug Shedden will start out for the Jacks at his own line. Shedden to center, over the Adirondack line. He tried to twist and turn his way through the defense. Checked in front by DeGaetano and fired down ice by Eves. 10 seconds for the one-man advantage. Alfie Turcotte behind the goal. Right in front of the goal for Sean Toomey. He has to evade the check of Sealing. Leads at his own line for Turcotte. Second penalty is over. Turcotte leaves it for Tebbett. Trailing. Tebbett at center over the Adirondack line with a shot. Elliott brought that one down. The rebound behind the goal. Huda fired it around the boards. Halted by Holmes, who just stepped down on the right side, but he was overpowered by Eves. Back come the Red Wings. Peter Dineen to center over the Baltimore line on left wing for Chason with a shot. He scores! Steve Chason. And the Red Wings lead 4-2. Boy, Steve Chason from the top of the left circle, and he really blazed one. And Murray Bannerman never saw it. He was totally screened. And that goal comes after the Jacks failed to capitalize with a two-man advantage for a minute and 8 seconds. And that one really breaks the spirit. A 3-goal unanswered second period assault. So it's not quite the same script here today. The second period, which has been the Skipjacks bugaboo voodoo on the road, suddenly is at home. Chason has really had a brilliant second period. He has a goal and 2 assists. He's accounted for all 3 of the Red Wing goals. Chason from Dineen and Eves. That's 3 more points for Eves today. He has 7 in 2 games against the Jacks. 2 goals and 5 assists. Time of the goal, 15:34. Right after the Red Wings were restored to full manpower from the faceoff. At the Jacks line, Jean-Francois Hinault barrels up the right side at center. Over the Red Wing line, skated off on the defense by Dineen, who feeds King. King on left wing at center. At the Baltimore line for Harper, checked by Holmes, who poked it back to center zone. DeGaetano feeds King, who crosses the Baltimore line on the left side. He drove it in behind the goal. Bannerman himself fired into the left corner for Corrales. Now Tom Corrales up the boards. His pass eludes no to the blue line. The point shot by Dineen is wide. Puck into the Jacks left corner. Digging it out is Armstrong up the boards for Michael Holmes. Now Holmes at center for No. It eludes him to the Adirondack line, where Peter Dineen on the right defense backhands into Baltimore territory. Ian Armstrong from behind the goal. Leads on left wing in his own line for Holmes. Checked by Sealing. Controlled in front of the Jacks goal by Armstrong, who came across with Nichols pouring in on top of him. Now Armstrong up the boards at his own line for No. And Jean-Francois Hinault drove it to the Adirondack zone, where it's controlled by Chason. Chason up the right boards at center for Rob Nichols. Nichols drove it around the Jacks backboard to the left side for McGannity. Now McGannity right in front for Nichols. Shot, he scores! Rob Nichols, and the Red Wings lead 5-2. As the wheels have come off and the door has lost its hinges, and the Jacks have come collectively crumbling down. It's a 4-goal second period eruption and 5 consecutive goals for the Red Wings, and the Jacks have ruptured again. These last 2 goals, 1:27 apart, and it's 5-2 Red Wings. And as we mentioned earlier, once the Jacks surrender a goal, they just lose their poise and composure. They don't have that leadership. They don't have that settling influence on this club. Nichols from McGannity at 17:01. Murray Bannerman will be lifted, and Royden Gunn will enter at the 17:01 mark here in the second period. And Bannerman, like the rest of the Jacks goaltenders, should sue for non-support. So Royden Gunn at the 17:01 mark of the second period will replace Murray Bannerman, with Adirondack erupting with 4 unanswered goals in this second period. It was Nichols from McGannity at 17:01, and Rob Nichols, who spent the last 3 years in the IHL with Kalamazoo, with his 4th goal of the year. 5-2 Adirondack. From the faceoff, Dennis Smith on left wing at center for the Red Wings, flings it in front of the Jacks goal, glove down by DeFazio, and he just turns it over to Eves. Eves whirls in behind the goal, swoops into the corner, checked by Tebbett. Tebbett up the boards at his own line for Dundas, who clears to center zone, where Dennis Smith just rockets one into the crowd. Boy, that one was close. We had a youngster in a pink blouse that was almost received a rather primitive version of a haircut. The faceoff will be barely to the Jack side of the center red line. We want to remind you that Parent Club Detroit Red Wings coach Jacques Demers is in attendance today, and he will be our special guest coming up at our second intermission here at the Baltimore Arena, so please stay tuned for that. From the faceoff, Phil DeGaetano on right wing at center, propels it into the Baltimore right corner. Tebbett will control that. Tebbett was crunched in the corner by King, and Greg Tebbett retaliated by roughing King as he gave Chris King a rather rude facial massage and lathering with his left glove. So Tebbett is chased, and I think Greg Tebbett's antics there really mirror the Skipjacks' frustration and the Skipjacks' desperation. King really crunched Tebbett in the corner, and Tebbett retaliated with a fistful in the face of King at 17:31. Tebbett, 2 minutes for roughing at 17:31. All Adirondack here in the second period. The Jacks have had ample opportunities. They had 4 consecutive power plays in the second period, including a 2-man advantage for 1:18, and the Jacks could not inflict any damage. From the face-off, the puck behind the Adirondack goal. Phil DeGaetano barely escapes the check of Turcotte in front. DeGaetano to center at the Baltimore line, right wing for King around Sampson. King is right in on goal, to the doorstep for Eads with a shot. A great save by Gunn, who robbed Murray Eaves right at the doorstep. No further play. Boy, Chris King just breezed past the transplanted defenseman Gary Sampson as he streaked like a blur through the right circle, and he was right in on goal, but he very unselfishly slipped it to the crease for Murray Eaves, and Eaves was robbed point-blank range by Royden Gunn. Adirondack on the power play is a 2-for-3 today. Faceoff will be circled left of goaltender Gunn, 2:06 remaining. In this, the second period, it's 5-2 Red Wings. And this has been a catastrophic stanza for the Jacks, who have lost 17 straight. Eaves won it from Lemieux. Right point for DeGaetano with a shot. Gunn the save, with Fedek crashing the crease and feeling the lumber of Gunn across the back. There's going to be another Baltimore penalty coming up. Now Corrales is cross-checked viciously from behind by Chris King after Corrales had thumped the Adirondack player behind the goal, Murray Eaves. Corrales was going to receive the penalty initially when Chris King just assailed Corrales from behind with a wicked high stick. In the meantime, the Skipjacks net has been tipped over, almost landing on top of Gunn, forcing the Jacks netminder to vacate the crease. Chris King for Adirondack, Tom Corrales for the Jacks. And this occurs late in the period at the 18:07 mark. While the Jacks are in a somewhat excoriated state, as they saw a 2-0 lead absolutely evaporate here this afternoon. After a glorious start to this one, it has turned more into a notorious effort. We'll await the call on these penalties. In the meantime, we have 1:53 left, second period. Still 1:24 remaining in the Greg Tebbett roughing penalty. The score, Adirondack 5, the Skipjacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Adirondack penalty to number 9, Chris King. 2 minutes for cross-checking and 2 minutes for roughing. Skipjacks penalty to number 8, Tom Corrales. 2 minutes for holding and 2 minutes for roughing. Time of the penalties, 18:07.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. Here are the penalties. For Adirondack, Chris King, 2 minutes for cross-checking and 2 minutes for roughing. Tom Corrales was receiving the original penalty for wrapping up Murray Eves at the back of the Baltimore goal. So it's Corrales 2 minutes for holding, and he too receives 2 minutes for roughing. And that's a rather strange call at 18:07. So the Adirondack power play remains intact with 1:53 left in the second period, and they lead 5-2. From the face of the top of the Jack circle, Gary Sampson on a second effort finally drives it into Adirondack territory. Huda chased all the way into his own right corner by the forechecking persistence of Albie Turcotte. He finally leaves for Chason, who romps to center circle. Steve Chason rockets it around the Baltimore backboards into the corner. Digging it out is Armstrong, clearing to the line. Chason controls at the left point. Now Chason trying to slip one in front for Krentz. Knocked back to center zone by Sampson. Controlled by Murkowski. His pass at the Baltimore line meant for Krentz. Halted by Sampson and fired down ice by Alain Lemieux from inside the Baltimore line. 1:11 for the period and 41 seconds for the power play. Now Doug Huda on right wing at center. Drove it off the Baltimore backboards. It caroms to the left side for Harper. Now Warren Harper. Back to the left point for Chason. Right point for Huda. Right in front for Harper. Checked by Armstrong, but contained left point by Chason. Chason steers in behind the goal for Krentz. It didn't make it there. Armstrong intervenes, but it's seized instead by Harper on the left boards. Now Warren Harper holds at the boards. Left point for Chason. The shot. Gun the save, and he'll hold on. No further play with Krentz and Murkowski crossing the crease. 39 seconds left in the period. 10 seconds for the Tebbit penalty. Now we have Krentz shoving Dundas after the whistle. Krentz and Dundas drop their sticks and gloves, and the linesman will detain them. They won't allow them. They will not allow them to derive some fistic enjoyment. Rocky Dundas for the Jacks, and Dale Krentz, one of only 3 members of the Adirondack Calder Cup team from 85-86 still remaining. And those two, before they reach close quarters, were separated by the linesmen, and both will depart the scene as the second period is being punctuated in its culmination by some, shall we say, noisy affairs here. Dundas and Krentz have probably received 2-minute minors at 19:21. Both have received 10-minute misconducts. Krentz and Dundas, 10-minute misconducts at 19:21. So the referee, Richard Trache, is serving a warning here to both clubs that any more of this after whistle activity will no longer be tolerated. And players will just be doled out 10-minute misconducts. And that'll be the end of that tune. Krentz and Dundas, 10-minute misconducts in 1921. Face-off circle right of Gunn. Still 10 seconds for the Tebbit penalty. 5-2 Red Wings. They've outshot the Jacks 10-7 in this period, and they've outscored them 4-0. Now Armstrong in front of the Skipjack goal launches it over the head of Peter Deneen at the right point, down ice. Deneen behind the goal. Leaves there for DeGaetano in front of Turcotte. Now Phil DeGaetano up on left wing at center for a streaking Murray Eves. Checked as he reached the Baltimore line by Armstrong. And Armstrong had manned it up the right boards over 2 lines to Albie Turcotte, and the Jacks are called on the offside pass with the Tebbit penalty elapsing. No further play. We have 20 seconds remaining in the second period, and it's 5-2 Red Wings. Steve Chason has been the Red Wings' top gun with a goal and 2 assists to spur this 4-goal unanswered second period assault. Murray Eves also has a goal and 2 assists. He now has 7 points, 2 goals and 5 assists in his first 2 games against the Jacks, both right here in Baltimore. Alfie Turcotte and Doug Shedden scored 2:03 apart before this game was 6 minutes old, lifting the Jacks into a 2-0 lead. That was a long time ago. That's the last time the Jacks were heard from. Now Peter Dineen with 10 seconds left in the period will start out. Evading the check of Toomey in front of the goal. Up the middle at center, Dineen for Rob Nichols, who just floats it in behind the Jacks goal as the horn will sound, symbolizing the conclusion. That was assessed to Kevin Maxwell at 18:37. Stay tuned. We'll salute our Skipjack fan of the game. That's coming up in our first intermission live tonight for the Baltimore Arena. Night after Christmas action. Excellent crowd tonight. Jacks will be in Hershey. They'll reciprocate tomorrow night. Airtime on the Skipjacks Hockey Network from the Hershey Park Arena. In fact, it was 3 consecutive unanswered power play goals, 1 late in the first period and 2 early in the second period, 52 seconds apart, that evaporated the Jacks' 2-0 lead. Adirondack has struck with 5 unanswered goals. Jacks have not been heard from since 5:43 of the opening period when Doug Shedden lifted them to a 2-0 lead. Alfie Turcotte to center. He dances in over the Adirondack line, pulling up in the left corner. Now Turcotte behind the goal for Toomey. Into the left corner for Perkins. Perkins wheels to the side of the goal, working on Dineen. Dineen forces him back into the corner. It skids to the side of the goal for Lemieux. Lemieux to the left point for Turcotte. Turcotte pours in front, shoots. That was wide. The rebound up the Adirondack left boards, and Glenn Murkowski is there, and he fires it down ice. Gunn behind the goal sets it up for Turcotte with 1:20 for the power play. Now Alfie Turcotte with a goal and an assist today. Leads on right wing in his own line for Shedden. Across the left wing at center for Toomey, who reaches the Adirondack line. Toomey's pass stolen by Sealing, who has the breakaway at center. Oh, the Baltimore line. Sealing is in alone. He shoots. Oh, a spectacular glove save by Gunn. No further play. As Sean Toomey pulled up along the left wing boards at the Adirondack line, and his very marshmallowy, whimpering centering pass was seized by Rick Sealing with an excellent knack of anticipation, and Sealing on the breakaway flight, and he was robbed by an excellent glove save from Royden Gunn. The faceoff will be left of Gunn in the Jacks goal. Lemieux and Eves on the faceoff. Won by Lemieux, corralled on the left boards by Pierre to the side of the goal for Turcotte. Now Alfie Turcotte will start out at his own line. Turcotte through center, whistles it over the glass into the crowd. He was attempting to whistle it around the backboards, and that puck just took off and sailed into the crowd, and it struck a young lady, I believe, on the right arm. And a member of the ushering staff here at the Baltimore Arena is on the scene. It struck a young lady. It appeared right on the arm. Boy, that penetrates like a laser. She's donned in a Skipjacks sweatshirt today, and I think she's going to be removed. Boy, that puck just went flying into the crowd from the faceoff. In the meantime, Jacks still have a power play for 40 seconds as Lemieux winds it up. Alain Lemieux at his own line, center circle. Stroked it in off the Adirondack backboards. The carom is covered in the left circle by Chason with a spinorama, and Steve Chason fires it down ice. Now Gunn behind the goal. Will leave it for Shedden. Doug Shedden eases it ahead at his own line for Lemieux. Now the count through center over the Adirondack line along the right wing boards for Turcotte. Poked off his stick masterfully by Sealing, and Rick Sealing just rolls it gently down ice. Gunn comes out of the goal in the left circle and drove it to center zone where Chason controls on left wing. Over the Baltimore line, he sends Murkowski chasing after it in the corner, but Britt Peer came across to intercede. Penalty is over to Fennick. Covering up behind the Jacks goal, Jean-Francois No. On left wing at his own line for DeFazio. At center for No, who springs in over the Adirondack line. No, wheels into the corner. He was pinned there by Buer, his first shift of the game. But it's dug out the right boards by Holmes behind the goal for No. Right in front for Sampson. Checked by Huda. Controlled by Adirondack. Buer on left wing at center. Skated off by Michael Holmes, and Holmes drove it in behind the Adirondack goal. Huda will control in front of No. Dish into the left corner for Chason. Chason across on right wing at center for Buer. Buer muscles his way in over the Baltimore line with Holmes draped over his back. Controlled by the Jacks Tebbett. Now Tebbett up on right wing at center for No. No reaches the Adirondack line. The drop pass right in front for Perkins. Poked off his stick at the last split instant by Deneem. And fired ahead by Murkowski for Harper at center of the Baltimore line. Harper right circle, the backhander. Gun the save, the rebound in front. Buer was checked by DeFazio. Dug out behind the goal by Tebbett. And Tebbett just directs it around the left wing boards for Holmes. Holmes entangled by Buer. Jammed by Murkowski, they'll lock it up. No further play. We've played 4 minutes of the third period. It's 5-2 Red Wings. We have a further update regarding the injury to Skipjack defenseman Tim Hoover. He has sustained a mild concussion and a possible broken nose. So the injury woes for Tim Hoover continue. Haven't seen a lot of Byron Lomo today. He is in uniform, but has been utilized sparingly today by GM coach Gene Ubriaco. Shannon Deegan not in uniform for the Jacks today as well. Second consecutive game he's been deactivated. From the faceoff, Jacks control at their own line. Ian Armstrong corrals it on right wing at center at the Adirondack line for Toomey. Now Toomey right in front for Shedden with a shot. And Elliott has that one deflect off his catching glove over the glass into the crowd. No further play. Boy, that started originally as a rather innocuous Skipjacks rush. And the faceoff will be circle right of Elliott in the Adirondack goal. It'll be Turcotte and Murkowski on the faceoff. Won by Murkowski. Directed around the boards on the left side for Sealing, but Armstrong pinches in. Covering behind the goal, DeGaetano. Now Phil DeGaetano at his own line, leading on left wing at center for Sealing. Sealing drove it in behind the Jacks goal. Gunn himself will hold for DeFazio, who winds it around the left boards for Turcotte. In the middle at center for Shedden. Over the Adirondack line, right circle for Toomey with a shot, and he fired it wide. Toomey has the rebound behind the goal, but he was skidded off by DeGaetano, and back come the Red Wings. Rob Nichols heads up the right side at center at the Baltimore line, shooting. Kicked up by Gunn, rebound in the left corner, sent to center by DeFazio. From center, Doug Huda fired it back in behind the Jacks goal. DeFazio is on the scene. Now Dean DeFazio leads sharply at his own line for Doug Shedden. Shedden at center circle, spilled by Eves. Control back of the Red Wing zone in front of the goal by Huda. Huda leads on left wing at center for McGannity. Over the Baltimore line for Fedek. Left circle, Fedek shoots right on. Gun the save. The rebound behind the goal. Collected by Corrales. Now Tom Corrales up the middle. At center for Britt Peary. Couldn't hold the pass. Control by Murray Eves on right wing at center over the Baltimore line. Across to the left circle for Fedek with a shot. Stick save Gunn. Rebound control by Corrales behind the goal with Eves in pursuit. Corrales on left wing in his own line for Pierce. Clearing pass halted by King in the circle. King to the left point for Chason with a shot. Gunn the save. The rebound is airborne. Lands to the side of the goal. Fedek poked it in behind the goal. Tebbett is there. Tebbett around the left wing boards for Pierre, who wrapped it to center zone. Controlled at center by Eves. Now Eves springs in over the Baltimore line around Corrales. Eves is right in on goal. He shoots, he scores. Murray Eves, and Adirondack leads 6-2. Murray Eves that time just burst behind Tom Corrales on the Baltimore defense. Deep gun from the crease and deposited it home. A rather sleek and streamlined backhander at the 6-minute mark. Eves with his second goal of the game, his 13th of the season, and his second consecutive 4-point game against the Skipjacks. Eves with 8 points in 2 games against the Jacks, 3 goals and 5 assists. That is 6 unanswered goals for Adirondack, as the Jacks just can't seem to halt the hemorrhaging. It appears fatal again for an 18th straight time. Eves from Huda, Doug Huda with 3 assists today at the 6-minute mark. Now from the faceoff, at center zone, Ian Armstrong on right wing, drove it to the Adirondack line. In front of the goal, DeGaetano. Straight ahead at center for Murkowski. He directs it into the Baltimore right corner. Charging after it is Harper. Harper was pinned in the corner boards by No, but seized on the left side by Buer. Buer to the left point for Dennis Smith. Shooting gun, the pad save. Rebound to the left wing boards for Buer. Now Buer in the circle for Murkowski. Murkowski was muscled by No. They tangle truculently forward. It squirms into the Jacks right wing corner. Murkowski to dig it out. Waltzed into the backboards by Perkins. And finally dug out by DeFazio, and the Jacks are away. Dean DeFazio romps to center over the Adirondack line. The drop pass for No. No left at top of the right circle for Holmes. Right in front for No. Oh, and Elliott the save at the crease. The rebound of the Red Wing right boards, and Thomas Buer sends it down ice. Right to the goaltender gun. Nullifying icing as Tebbett rounds the Baltimore net. Greg Tebbett at his own line up on right wing at center for Shedden, who hits the Adirondack line into the circle. Right in front for Sampson with a shot. Oh, a great save by Elliott. Rebound in the Adirondack right corner for Sealing. Now Sealing in the middle at center for McGannity. McGannity zooms in over the Baltimore line along the left wing boards. He centered one for Nichols. Nichols to the left point for Chason with a shot. Gun the save. Rebound along the boards. Into the corner. Dug out by Sealing. Sealing bolts into the circle. Right in front for McGannity. He couldn't control it. Skids in behind the goal, and Corrales will corral it. Now Tom Corrales at his own line. Across on right wing at center for Shedden, reaching the Adirondack line. Skated off by a tumbling Rick Sealing, who clears the center zone. Where Greg Tebbett on right wing hoists it into the Adirondack right corner. Huda controls in front of Sampson. Huda for Chason in the left corner, and Steve Chason clears the center circle, where DeFazio fires right on. Elliott nabbed it, left at left corner for Chason, and Steve Chason just sends it down ice. Racing to reach behind the Jacks goal is Michael Holmes, and Adirondack is charged for icing. A break of the action, 11:45 left, third period. Adirondack 6, the Skipjacks 2, on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
082-7638. That number again, 082-7638. That winner will receive a cash prize. This afternoon's second winning number, 080-8295. That number again, 080-8295. That winner will receive 2 tickets to a future Skipjacks game. Winners have 5 minutes to claim their prize at the Booster Club table located behind section number 2.
Now from the face-off, Dineen in front of his own goal just sends the puck slithering to the Baltimore line. Armstrong controls at center for Perkins, backhanding into Adirondack territory. Elliott ladles it in behind the goal for Dennis Smith, who rounds the net to escape the no check. Now Smith up on left wing at center for Chris King, reaching the Baltimore line. Around DeFazio, right in on goal with a shot. Gun the save, and he smothers it as he's surrounded by Fedek and Eves. Either side of the crease, no further play. And that time Dean DeFazio was disrobed on the defense by the rush of Chris King. And Royden Gunn, again deserted by the Skipjacks' vulnerable defense. 11:17 left, third period. Red Wings 6, Jacks 2. The Jacks are expecting 3 players from Montreal by tomorrow, and 2 of them are defensemen. And let's all hope, for the sake of the franchise, that they help the cause. From the faceoff, Huda failed to hold it in at the right point as he was bumped by Holmes. He drove it in behind the goal nonetheless, and DeFazio will control. Dean DeFazio up the middle at center for Holmes, who reaches the Adirondack line. Along the left wing boards, ducking underneath the check of Huda behind the goal. Holmes for Perkins. Action halted. Chason and Holmes collided along the boards. And I believe, well, I'm not certain the reason for the whistle. The referee, Richard Trache, is indicating that the faceoff will be circle right of the goaltender, Darren Elliott. And I'm still uncertain as to the reason for the whistle. We have 10:56 left, third period, 6-2 Red Wings. Murray Eves has scored a pair of goals today, and an absolutely brilliant 4-point performance, his second in a row here in Baltimore. Adirondack has won 7 of the last 9 meetings between these two clubs. From the faceoff, inside the Jacks line, Corrales leads on left wing at center for Britt Peer, who hits the Adirondack line. His centering pass for Toomey deflected off Chason in front, and Elliott had to make a pad save. Dug out the left corner by Murkowski. Murkowski's clearing pass was airborne, knocked down in front of the goal by the Jacks forechecker, Sean Toomey, and the Jacks are called for the high stick. No further play. 9:34 remaining, or pardon me, 10:34 remaining for third period action, and it's 6-2 Red Wings. The Jacks have not been heard from since way back at 5:43 of the opening period, when Doug Shedden scored from Alfie Turcotte and Sean Toomey just 2:03 after Alfie Turcotte himself had scored from Alain Lemieux on a Baltimore power play at 3:40. Now from the faceoff, Dineen in front of the Red Wing goal, across on the left defense for DeGaetano. Phil DeGaetano lugs it to center, drifts it in on goal. Gunn himself poked it away for the on-rushing Rob Nichols, but contained right point by Dineen with a shot. Gunn the save with Nichols crossing the crease in front. The puck to the left wing boards. And they jam for it there, Corrales and Nichols, and they'll lock it up. No further play. 10-12 remaining. Adirondack has outshot the Jacks 28-16. Despite the fact that the Jacks have enjoyed 6 power play opportunities, they've only managed 16 shots on goal the entire game. Want to remind you the Jacks will cap this 3-game homestand on Wednesday night here at the Baltimore Arena. They'll entertain Springfield on the ever-popular SK Turkey Shoot night. Then the Jacks will be on the road Saturday night in Hershey and back home 1 week from tonight. Next Sunday night, a 7 o'clock duel with Binghamton, and the Whalers have been on fire. From the faceoff, Peter Dineen on right wing at center, sails it into the Jacks' right corner. Tebbett to cover the carom. Now Greg Tebbett will start out. Across on right wing at center for Doug Shedden. Shedden reaches the Adirondack line, dishing to the right boards for Turcotte. Turcotte trying to center one. Here's Tebbett closing in from center point with a shot. In a crowd. That was blocked by McGannity, who rolled it to the Baltimore line. Control by Toomey as he comes across to the right side into his own circle. Across to the other circle for Corrales. Corrales passed right on the stick of King, who burst into the Baltimore line, left circle, and Toomey poked it off his stick as he was ready to load the gun. And from that same circle, Turcotte to clear to the Adirondack line where DeGaetano circles on the left defense. He just wrapped it off the boards, down ice. Corrales to reach it beyond the Jacks goal. Red Wings charged with icing. A break of the action, 9:20 left. Adirondack 6, Skipjacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Pick somebody out, Rack!
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. 9:20 left, 6-2 Red Wings. Face off left of Elliott, Adirondack goal. It'll be for the Jacks, Rocky Dundas, and for the Red Wings, Murray Eves on the face-off. Dundas returning after serving his 10-minute misconduct, and the puck was dropped unfairly. So everyone will have another opportunity. Sampson, Dundas, and Lomo on this combination. Byron Lomo with a rare shift today. He and Dundas have really been the 10th and 11th forwards today for Coach Gino Briaco. One by Lomo to the left point. DeFazio shoots. Elliott the save. The rebound skips into the crease. Swept away by Eves. Contained right point by Armstrong, though. Armstrong into the right corner for Sampson. Sampson muscled in a mighty move by Chason, but Chason's pass halted at the boards by Lomo. Behind the goal for Dundas. Dundas' centering pass was halted by Eves. Eves leads on right wing at his own line for Brent Fedek, and Fedek just loops it to the Baltimore line. Dundas controls it there, nearly turned it over to Fedek. Leaves it on the line for Armstrong. Armstrong in the middle at center for Sampson. Over the Adirondack line along the right wing boards for Dundas. He was waltzed into the boards by King. Dug out though behind the goal by Lomo. Lomo centered one. Left point. DeFazio shoots right through the crease. Puck deflects to the Adirondack left boards. And Chris King clears the zone. Action halted. I believe that puck struck someone with a high stick. 8:23 left. It's 6-2 Red Wings. And the face-off will occur, I believe, at the center red line across the way from us on the Jacks' right side. The Jacks are 8:23 away from sustaining their 18th consecutive defeat, which would eclipse the NHL record of 17 in a row set by the Washington Capitals nearby back in the 74-75 campaign. Now Phil DeGaetano at center circle, just drifts it in behind the Jacks goal. Greg Tevitt will control it. His pass right on the stick of DeGaetano at the right point. The screen shot knocked down by No. No springs to center. Over the Adirondack line left, the top of the right circle for Holmes with a shot. Elliott the save with No toppling over Elliott at the crease. The puck along the boards. Dug out by Murkowski on the left side. Up the boards at center for Krentz behind Tevitt over the Baltimore line. Krentz from the circle fired one wide as Corrales raced back, and back come the Jacks. No to center. Jean-Francois No romps it over the Adirondack line into the right circle. He was really upended by a rude hip check by Dennis Smith, who clears to center zone. Control by Tevitt on right wing at the Adirondack line for No. No for Perkins. Perkins wheels at the line. Terry Perkins pulls up left boards. Perkins right in front for Tevitt. Tevitt shoots. Blocked down the defense masterfully by DeGaetano, and Adirondack is away. Warren Harper is all by himself at center, so he decides to just steer it in on goal and gun the save of the rebound control by DeFazio. Dean DeFazio at center sends Alfie Turcotte chasing it down behind the Adirondack goal, but Darren Elliott, the netminder, sails it over the glass into the crowd, and he'll receive a penalty. And Elliott charges after the referee all the way to the Adirondack blue line. And then the pursuit is taken up by Rick Sealing, the playing assistant coach, and Rob Nichols. I believe there will be a Red Wing penalty to Darren Elliott. Elliott was trying to sail it around the right wing boards into the corner, and that puck just caromed on the top of the glass and fell into the second row of seats.
Adirondack penalty number 31.
Darren Elliott, a 2-minute minor for delay of game at 12:57. Jacks with another power play coming up, their 8th of the afternoon. They're 1 for 7. A break of the action, 7:03 left. Adirondack 6, the Jacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Serving the Adirondack minor, Thomas Buer.
Now from the face-off, Jacks with their 8th power play of the afternoon. Doug Shedden strides in behind the goal and headmans it sharply at his own line for Lemieux. Back crisply across in the middle at center for Shedden. Now Shedden checked by Sealing, just rolls it delicately back into the Baltimore right corner, forcing Shedden to retreat. Now Doug Shedden will start out in front of the goal. Leading on left wing at center for DeFazio. Beyond him, as Sealing knocked it back into the Baltimore zone while he was being bowled over by DeFazio. Now Alfie Turcotte, the center, storms in over the Adirondack line, right in front for Shedden with a shot. Elliott the save, and he'll smother it with Alfie Turcotte pinned to the goal post by Steve Chason on the Red Wing defense. 6:19 left, 1:16 for the Elliott penalty being served by Thomas Buer. It's 6-2 Red Wings. And the face-off will occur circle left of Darren Elliott in the Adirondack goal. And I'll tell you, the Skipjacks fans receive full marks for their patience, their understanding, and their compassion. The Skipjacks fans have been just the epitome of tremendous demeanor here today, despite the Skipjacks performance. Now Dale Krentz to center. Over the Baltimore line around Shedden into the left circle with a shot. And that was high over top of the net. The rebound controlled by Murkowski, who took it away from Perkins. The Murkowski centering pass seized in front by Turcotte. Turcotte at center for Perkins over the Adirondack line on the left boards. Perkins right in front for Shedden. Shooting blocked by Smith and fired down ice by Krentz. 45 seconds for the power play. Now Turcotte in front of the goal, up the middle. At center, Turcotte for Gary Sampson, who hops it over the Adirondack line. Right circle for Shedden with a shot, and that was wide. The rebound to the left boards for Perkins. Now Terry Perkins, jammed by Deneen. Perkins on a second effort to control it, sprawling. He centered one to the crease. Smith was there in front of the waiting Sean Toomey, and he sends it down ice. Captured behind the goal by Shedden. 16 seconds for the power play. Now Doug Shedden leads on left wing at his own line for Lomo. Lomo leaves the drop pass for Tebbett, trailing. Tebbett reaches the Adirondack line. Drove it in behind the goal. Dennis Smith winds it around the boards. Halted on the right side by Lomo to the right point for Armstrong. Back along the boards for Lomo. Penalty over. Lomo across to the left point for Tebbett. Now Tebbett holds it in. Drove it in behind the goal for Sampson. Now Sampson leaves it there for Lomo. Lomo centers it right through this crease, and Sampson couldn't reach that. He had been upended by Sealing. The puck comes across into the corner. Digging it out is Huda. Huda's pass stolen in front by Lomo with a shot. Oh, what a save by Elliott. The rebound controlled by Sealing. Sealing at his own line. Rick Sealing outside his own line on the right boards in front of the Red Wing bench. Leaves it on the defense for Dennis Smith, who just rifles it down ice. Armstrong hurries to reach it, and the Red Wings are charged for icing. A break of the action, 4:21 left. Adirondack 6, the Jacks 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Skipjacks ticket immediately before or after any home game and receive free drinks with any pizza purchase. Season ticket holders may also present their VIP cards anytime and receive a free drink with any purchase at Peccadillo Pizzeria, located at 2 North Howard Street.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from a rather somber, rather solemn Baltimore arena. But again, accolades to the Skipjacks fans. I'll tell you, they are absolutely tremendous. What patience they have with this hockey club. From the faceoff in front of the Adirondack goal, Doug Huda just fired it past Dean DeFazio at the left point, down ice. Now Ian Armstrong deep in the Jacks' right corner. At his own line for no. That one just jumped over his stick to center, where Doug Huda on right wing drove it around the Baltimore backboards all the way to the right side. Armstrong in congestion will redirect it behind the goal for DeFazio. Now Dean DeFazio leads on left wing at center for Britt Peer in full flight. Peer drove it into the Adirondack left wing corner, chugging it after it is Dundas. He was crunched clamorously by King, dug out in the Adirondack right corner by Huda. Doug Huda sailed it up on right wing at center for Murray Eves over the Baltimore line, but that traveled over 2 lines while that puck was in flight, and Eves is offside. No further play. 3:34 remaining as the Red Wings will claim their second of this 3-game road trip in as many days and their 4th road win of the year to raise their road record to an impressive 4-3-2, and the Red Wings will upgrade their overall record to 10-4-2. Catapulting into sole possession of second place. This will be their 8th victory in their last 10 starts against the Skipjacks. All ready to go. And the Skipjacks will go through the first 6 weeks of the season with 18 consecutive defeats and no points. Greg Tebbett on right wing at center. Rockets it around the Adirondack backboards all the way to the right side. Harper is there. Checked by Turcotte, who stepped in front. Oh, Turcotte centered one for Shedden. He couldn't quite reach it. Back come the Red Wings. Harper to center over the Baltimore line. Harper left circle for Murkowski with a shot and gun the save. He's been sharp. And the Jacks will start out. Elfie Turcotte at his own line. In the middle at center for Shedden coming across. Shedden barges in after it in the corner. Shedden behind the goal for Toomey. Toomey centered it to the crease. Oh, Elliott the save, and he dives on top of it. Amidst the congestion, Elliott had lost his stick, and he just kept reaching and groping for the puck amidst that forest of legs in front of him. And somehow he pounced on top of that one as Shedden, Toomey, and Turcotte in triangular fashion had converged at the doorstep. 2:52 left, 6-2 Adirondack. And the faceoff will unfold circle right of Darren Elliott in the Adirondack goal. Want to remind you the Jacks will be back home again Wednesday night, 7:30. They'll entertain Springfield on the ever-popular SK Turkey Shoot night. Turcotte and Eves on the faceoff. Won by Eves right in front of the goal on the right hash mark. Doug Huda will lasso it. Now Huda on right wing at center, trying to muscle his way past Sean Toomey, and he sails the puck into the crowd behind the Baltimore goal. No further play. 2:40 remaining as the Red Wings will post another victory and the Jacks will sustain another defeat. We want to again announce, as we did earlier, that the Montreal Canadiens have assigned 5'11", 200-pound defenseman Stéphane Richer to the Jacks, and he has arrived during this game here today, and he will work out with the team for the first time tomorrow. The Jacks are also anticipating 2 more players from Montreal, another defenseman in the left wing, and we'll keep you posted on that. That will occur either tomorrow or Tuesday. From the face-off, the Jacks will just ice the puck as Chiasson to reach it ahead of Alfie Turcotte. And the Jacks are called for icing. I'll tell you one thing, Alfie Turcotte has been tireless. He has been tenacious. He has been relentless today. All those adjectives, you could trot out many more superlatives. He refuses to surrender. He is a very fierce and fiery competitor, and Alfie Turcotte just detests losing. And he is playing with a maximum effort here, even in the waning moments, with the Jacks set to meet their Waterloo again. Face-off circle left of gun, Jacks goal. As this opening season swoon tune continues almost unabatingly now. Lomo won it. Behind the goal for DeFazio. Now Dean DeFazio will start out as he comes across on right wing in his own line. He just directs it to the Adirondack line. It comes all the way back to center. Poked there by Sealing. Control by Armstrong. He fires it in behind the Adirondack goal. Tracked down on the defense by Chiasson. Chiasson wrapped it off the boards. Ahead at center for Neil McGannity, who scampers into the Baltimore line, swerving through the left circle, swooping in behind the goal. Stapled to the boards by Armstrong, but dug out by Sealing. He centered it in front. Owen Nichols shot, and he rattled it off the goal post. The puck in behind the goal, but Armstrong will control it. Now Ian Armstrong on the right side of his own line to center for Doe. Jean-Francois Doe zooming in over the Adirondack line. Checked down the defense by Chiasson, and Chiasson without a stick kicked it to center where Corrales controls. Tom Corrales just steers in behind the Adirondack goal. Corralled in the right corner by Dennis Smith in front of Holmes. Up the boards for Nichols. Nichols pass halted at the line by Corrales on the left point. Corrales into the corner for Holmes. He was just overpowered by Huda, who overturned him. And back come the Red Wings. Dennis Smith, the center, barrels into the Baltimore line on the left wing, shooting! And Royden Gunn with the stick save, sends it over the glass into the crowd. No further play. 1:13 remaining. It's Adirondack 6 and the Skipjacks 2. Alfie Turcotte has essayed another goal and an assist for the Jacks today. In his first 8 games for the Skipjacks, Turcotte has 6 two-point games and 1 three-point game. He now has 15 points in his first 8 Skipjack games on 3 goals and 12 assists. His 20 assists are foremost in the league in only 16 games. Alfie Turcotte has really emerged as the Skipjacks leader on this club offensively. Now Greg Tebbett in front of his own goal, ahead of his own line for Corrales. Being shadowed by Eves. He forces Corrales to curl back and just send the puck aimlessly to the Adirondack line with a minute left. At the Adirondack line, Dennis Smith on the left defense. Rinkwad in right wing at center for Fedek. Fedek steps it over the Baltimore line, drove it in behind the goal. Gunn himself directs it to the side of the goal for Corrales. Now Corrales behind the goal, jammed by Fedek. It squirms into the corner. Peer peels back for it. Now Britt Peer will start out at his own line, motoring to center. He reaches the Adirondack line, snapping the shot. Smith deflects it harmlessly to the corner. Controlled by DeGaetano, nearly closed line by Peer. DeGaetano on left wing at center for King, who drove it in the direction of the front of the Baltimore goal, and DeFazio's on it. 22 seconds remaining. Dean DeFazio up the right boards at his own line for Rocky Dundas. Now Dundas chugs to center, checked from behind by Murkowski. Almost made that one look effortless. Murkowski back at his own line on the right defense for Huda. Huda just drove it into Baltimore territory. Controlled on the left boards by Armstrong. Action halted. Dundas and Krentz are rekindling hostilities in front of the Baltimore goal. You may recall both of them received 10-minute misconducts at 19:21 late in the second period. I think Dundas may have perpetrated this incident. Rocky Dundas mirroring the Skipjacks' frustration, exasperation, and desperation. And Dundas and all his perspiration will depart. And the time 19:54. I think Krentz will be absolved here. It appeared from our vantage point that Dundas was trying to instigate some sort of an encore duel with Prince. Dundas, 2 minutes slashing, 1954. Face-off left of gun, Jack Scholl. Stay tuned, the Skipjacks postgame show will be coming up. 6 unanswered Adirondack goals after the Jacks had pirated an early 2-0 lead. From the face-off, Gunn himself whipped it into the left corner. Chase on a charge in for the left point to try to center one as the horn sounds. And the Baltimore Skipjacks gulped down bitterly their 18th consecutive defeat. That is now a new record as far as AHL and NHL are concerned. The Adirondack